cold Monday morning. Are there any public speakers for the committee?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We have no members of the public registered to speak today.
Oh, wait. Can I ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the October Bridge and Tunnel Committee meeting? Second? All in favor? Are there any changes to the B&T committee work plan?
There are no changes to the B&T committee work plan.
Okay. Take over.
Good? Okay, you got it. Can you hear me okay through this? Okay. All right, good morning and welcome to the November 2021 MTA Bridges and Tunnels Committee meeting. I want to start off by saying on Sunday, November 7th, the Verrazano-Narrows Bridge was once again the host of the start of the running of the New York City Marathon, which was the 50th running of the New York City Marathon. Definitely earns a round of applause for that, just by saying that. As in the past years, B&T employees from across departments played a key role in planning, setup, site security, and monumental cleanup for the nearly 30,000 athletes participating in this event. B&T worked closely with event organizers and our regional partners, including the New York City Police Department, the New York National Guard, New York State Police, Department of Sanitation, and others, to bring forth this truly memorable and safe event for all. As a picture is worth 1,000 words, I would like to share some images of the day with special thanks to our colleague, MTA photographer Mark Herman, for these great pictures. So in preparation for the marathon, basically when the marathon ends, we start getting ready for the next marathon. And obviously we didn't have a marathon last year, so it was a little reset for us. This is a picture of our maintenance crews getting the bridge ready, covering expansion joints for the athletes. This is the coverage of the expansion joints on the upper level. At the Verrazano. Yeah, it's the lower level of the Verrazano Bridge. They run on both levels. They run on the full upper level of the bridge, and they run on the lower level, the Staten Island bound side, and then we keep the upper level. Yeah, as the years went on with more and more runners, they had to expand to the lower level. And again, this is the upper level as we get ready for the runners to come. And I should say athletes, as we have athletes with disabilities and hand cycles, and there's 12 starts to this marathon. It's not just one cannon goes off and they're off. This shows our closure of the upper level. We still have traffic running throughout the night as maintenance crews are on the upper getting ready for the entire bridge to be shut by NYPD. As you can see, this is a work truck with a hard closure, as we also do the site security with NYPD and our regional partners. Once the bridge is closed, we continue to set up. Again, like I said, it's weeks and months before we're filling potholes and we're sweeping the bridge and make sure it's safe for all. And then you have that eerie feeling, that's what I like to call it, the eerie feeling of when the traffic is stopped and it's just a couple of workers, or actually a team of workers on the bridge, continuing to get ready, but there's no traffic and no athletes on the bridge. And that was a great shot by Mark we wanted to include. So here we go, we're getting ready. You see the cannon shot. If you look to your right, you see the smoke plume. This is the first main wave. You okay? This is the first main wave of the start of the marathon, and this is the plaza going to the upper level. Once the cannon goes off, you see the athletes, or the first main wave, starting to run up the bridge, and it very quickly it gets covered with people. There's a little self-advertisement for us as the runners are on the upper level, which we started doing, I would say, Rich, we started doing about 10 years ago. We started putting up MTA Bridge and Tunnel welcomes you. And this, I like to take a pause. Okay. Yeah. This, I like to take a pause and congratulate our B&T running team. So a special shout out and congratulations to our colleagues for running and completing the race. So from left to right, you have Bridge and Tunnel Officer Jose Vasquez. Then you have Bridge and Tunnel Labor Counsel Ed Miyashiro. And then to his right, a very handsome guy named Rich Hildebrand, Vice President and Chief of Operations. And then to his right, IT Security Director Frank DeQuois. So congratulations to them all for running and completing the race. Richie wanted to come in this outfit. I said, Rich, they're going to see you on the picture. You don't need to come in with that outfit. And then finally, as the runners exit the Verrazano Bridge heading into Brooklyn off the first leg of the event, thanks again to the dedicated B&T employees who were involved in this year's successful event, which marks yet another milestone in New York City's ongoing recovery from the pandemic. So great work to everyone.
Dan, a special thanks to all the men and women and yourself. Did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. What I didn't show there was the amount of work that goes into the cleanup when sanitation comes on and our own workers and volunteers. This year was a little lighter. It was perfect weather, so the cleanup wasn't as extensive as years past, and the field was a lot lighter due to COVID restrictions. But I had to definitely mention that because that's the getting that bridge open early as possible, and we did get it open earlier than we scheduled. So staying with the subject of the New York City Marathon, I also would like to recognize our C&D partners for completing the latest work zone transition on the Verrazano Bridge upper level roadway project, having advanced the next stage of the construction, notably advanced it before Sunday's big event. Also to the MTA press office and the communications team for getting the word out regarding the day's events. Finally, we recently held our annual winter weather prep session, reviewing our readiness and winter storm policies and procedures. Operations and maintenance and other key departments presented specifics on resources, protocols, and action plans, as well as lessons learned and any changes from last year's winter season. Thanks to our planning section for putting this together and all of the B&T departments who participated in this critical exercise of preparation as we get ready for this year's winter. If there are no questions, I will now turn it over to Rich Hildebrand, Vice President and Chief Operations, who will now present the report on operations.
I think that's just a non-mute. Yep. All right, thank you, Dan. The report on operations in this month's committee materials begins on page 14. As the region continues along its path to recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, B&T traffic numbers remained strong in September of 2021. Paid vehicular traffic in September of 21 was 27.1 million vehicles, which is 2.6% lower or 0.73 million fewer vehicles than in the same month of 2019. Traffic was 12.7% higher in September of last year than it was in September of last year, during which B&T had 24 million paid crossings. For October 2021, preliminary B&T traffic was 0.1% lower this year than it was in 2019, and year-to-date has been 7.7% lower than it was in 2019. Easy Pass market share remains high at 94.5% of B&T's total traffic, which is consistent with 2020 but slightly lower than 2 years ago. As we approach the long Thanksgiving weekend and the December holiday season, operations maintains its focus on the efficient movement of traffic across our bridges and through our tunnels. B&T continues to monitor traffic patterns, critical road work both on and off property, and effective communication with motorists. Adjustment to traffic configurations, road work schedules, signage, and messaging are a consistent part of our delivery of service mission, which ensures that we are providing for our customers at the highest level. B&T staff visually monitors our roadways via closed-circuit television and roadway patrols to address any incidents or events that would impact our safety, security, or delivery of service. Throughout the holiday season and beyond, operations will work with its departmental and regional partners to ensure maximum roadway availability during times of peak travel. And this concludes this month's report on operations. Thank you very much, and have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving.
Yes, Commissioner.
Just a brief opinion question for you. Congrats on running the marathon. I won't ask you your time, but I'm sure you were happy with it.
Thank you.
So the numbers on bridge traffic seem basically about the same as 2019. You've said 0.1%. I looked at it. It sounds like that's pretty close. Yet, a lot of us perceive that the volume of traffic, of cars, just everywhere, seems much higher than at least I certainly can remember. It feels like when I drive into the city, it's much worse than ever before, which is obviously not the same as driving into taking the bridges. But do you have any perception about or view as to the volume of cars that are running around the region? Is it a perception problem that I'm wrong, actually, that the number of cars is really basically the same as it was before the pandemic, and it's just a perception that it's crazy? Or is there something else going on about the volume of traffic around the region? Does anyone have a viewpoint on that?
I can't speak for the free bridges and all the other roadways to get in, but I drive the Verrazano every day, and I do see that we are experiencing the perception of traffic. I think it's a visual thing from being in the pandemic traffic patterns. I think that we all kind of got, myself included, got a little bit used to that. So having the traffic back, and just looking at the numbers, the traffic is there. It's back. We are seeing a little bit of a shift and a constraint in our rush hours. So if you're traveling during that 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. peak over the Verrazano, I know that's not the south isn't your way, but that is when we have our extended, our kind of concentrated rush hour. In the afternoon, the rush hour starts a little bit earlier and ends a little bit later. Mostly, it's kind of getting back to normal a bit, but it's definitely stretched out a bit in the afternoon. And I think that some off-property work that's going on is affecting traffic flow to some degree, and just changing the traffic pattern. So it's pushing a little bit more. We've seen an increase in traffic at the Hugh L. Carey Tunnel, from the BQE work, and we're monitoring and again, we're maintaining our maximum roadway availability. We extend our two-way operations as needed every day, even after HOV lane closes. So we are seeing, and personally, again, I drive in, so I'm experiencing the same thing that you are, Commissioner. And I think we all are. It's definitely, traffic seems worse than ever, but the number of cars on the road, the numbers are there. So I think it's just a little bit of a shift in the traffic pattern. But I know Dan has some.
No, you hit it on the head. I used to call it the witching hour. When's the witching hour? When do I want to leave, before that witching hour or after that witching hour? And it's a tight window. Because it's a tight window, even though you have the same number of cars, when you compare it to 2019, you may have more cars throughout that witching hour. And that's why you're feeling the heaviness of traffic. I mean, I see it too in my commute as well.
Neil, I agree with Richard. Dan? I agree with Richard and Dan, as you as well. When I travel in, I make sure, going back, that I visit all of the bridges and tunnels, especially in the afternoon or night when I go back to Nassau County. And I agree. The rush hour is tight, and the volume is strong, which I hope it continues. Ching, ching.
Yes, Commissioner.
Pose this question as we sort of perennially move into the next set of toll changes, should we be looking at these traffic changes and ways of incentivizing if the rush hour time is changing? Are there approaches? I don't know whether or not in the committee on fares, there's also looking at new approaches on tolling. But whether we ought to be looking at some of this stuff and the data and the changes over time as we focus on that.
No, that's a good point. Those were conversations that we had prior to the last toll increase. Gridlock alert days. Should they have a higher toll that day? Certain times, like other agencies, tolling agencies. So those conversations have happened. So I'm pretty sure they'll be happening again once we get to that point. Yeah, absolutely.
Bob, I want you to know, in the state of Florida, that's exactly what they do. The higher the volume, the toll automatically goes up on the HOV lane.
Is that how they fund the no taxes provision of the state? Just being funny. I was being funny. Yeah.
So is there any reason why we don't take a similar approach here, or is there legislative? What are the prohibitions, if any, from looking at those things?
When we have the committee, the committee on tolling, and we bring it forth to the board, that's when those conversations will happen.
Good.
So it'll be happening. Any other questions? No, thank you. Good conversation. With that, now I'll turn it over to our Vice President and Chief Safety Officer, Eric Osinus, on the report of safety.
Thanks, Danny. The September report continues to show performance metrics to be generally positive. B&T's current safety performance is slightly better than in the pre-pandemic period of 2 years ago. B&T's safety report highlights the following. Customer collision rates improved over the past 12 months compared to previous 12 months. B&T's 2021 total collision rate was 3.9 per million vehicles, 39% better than in 2019 and 19% better than last year. The 2021 collisions with injury rate was 0.62 per million vehicles, 28% better in 19 and 20% better than last year. Employee safety metrics over the 12-month period are as follows. The employee lost time injury rate in September 2021, 6.0 incidents per 200,000 hours, reflecting no increase compared to 2020, but slightly higher than 2019. And that concludes the safety report.
Commissioner?
First of all, congratulations, Eric. Those are nice numbers. But I'm curious, though. I mean, first of all, these are exceptionally nice numbers because it goes the opposite of the general trend. I mean, the general trend in the country is it's more dangerous on the road than it used to be. Certainly in the city,
Yes, sir.
that's the way it is. So I don't know what you've done between 19 and now, but stick with it because those are very good numbers.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I think it's a testimony to the good teamwork that's going on within our community and working with C&D and the exceptional engineering controls that have been put in place since 2019. So it all factors into the good numbers that we're receiving.
Norm, speaking on behalf of the men and women of Bridges and Tunnel, we have a highway division, highway patrol, and they've done a great job. Their presence, and they've been enforcing the laws, and when they're out there and they're being seen, it's a deterrent for those speeding, crossing the lines, or doing what they might want to do if no one's around.
No, thank you. So materials for the financial and capital program status reports are included in the B&T committee materials. The appropriate staff are here, or they're on the virtual in the consolidated areas of the MTA to answer any questions you may have. And also, there are no procurements this month. Yes, Commissioner.
So the safety figures that are in the book, they don't give it, they're not giving the true picture necessarily in that the collision rate on the Verrazano is much higher than it is on the U-Carry tunnel, but perhaps the Verrazano has a lot more traffic. So is there any graph on here that shows it, by safety as opposed to by traffic volume? Perhaps that way is an easier way to discover what might be wrong at a particular crossing.
I believe in the book, one of the charts that we put in last year has collision per million vehicles. I think that's where you're going as far, right, okay. So if there's more volume, more traffic, obviously you got to look at that facility a little bit differently.
Right.
So there is a graph on that, but and we could talk about it a little bit more. But I think what's happening is exactly what Eric mentioned and the Commissioner mentioned, that the engineering controls that we put in place between 2019 and 2020, and many of you have been on the committee hearing me talk about the upper level of the Verrazano Bridge or the Bronx-Whitestone Expressway. There's been a lot of changes to the road conditions there that we worked on in the last 2 years, on top of the enforcement measures that we have. So, but it's in there to show the collision per million vehicles.
Great, thank you.
If no other questions, Commissioner?
Thank you. I want to wish everyone, on behalf of Dan and all the members of the Bridge and Tunnel, happy Thanksgiving, safe, and I'd like a motion to adjourn.
You got a question? Commissioner? Oh, no. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.